Hi guys, Jared here with Day Traders FX. Hopefully you guys are having a great week. We have definitely seen a lot of interesting movement, some high volatility over the last couple of days. We know that Cyprus has definitely been on the headlines like crazy. You can see that we've seen some elections today, or a vote, I guess, on that Cyprus bill. It has been rejected. They're back to the drawing board. Expect more volatility on euro pairs for sure. And you can see that as far as U.S. markets go, they're pretty flat for today. Nothing too exciting there. We've seen, again, a bit of news today. Housing starts were up a little bit, a couple of things there. But the big news, where everything is hinging, is tomorrow. We have meeting minutes out of the UK. That's going to be a big deal. We have FOMC statements and press conferences and so on. That's going to be a big deal. Lots of activity coming into tomorrow. So we may even see some sideways and flat markets until then. So just kind of keep an eye on that. So quickly, what we're looking for here on euro dollar, we've seen a lot of crazy activity. We've talked about these two levels quite a bit, which is 129, 10, 11, 12 kind of area. We'll call it 129.10 and 128.80. So we have broken out. We haven't quite filled this gap yet, and there still is a need to do that. But we did reach the missed pivot from Friday. Whoops. But we still have kind of this open area, 70, 80 pips of open gap area that probably needs to get filled sooner than later. But for the most part, the euro is holding very bearish. We've broken this little short-term trend line. You can see we're down. We broke 129.10. We broke 128.80. We got all the way down here to 128. Looks like our low is about 40, 43, 44, right in that general area. My first kind of short-term target was 128.20. We didn't quite get there, and my longer-term target still holds though. The euro dollar is still staying fairly bearish. We're holding towards the top of this channel. We had this nice little doji right here, but now it looks like movement may be able to finally continue. We didn't get a close, and we probably won't before the next daily candle happens. We haven't been able to get a close below 128.80 on the daily chart, so that's kind of interesting. But if we do, I honestly don't see this euro slowing down too much until we get to about 12700 and then potentially 12660. So we're in the process of taking out December's lows. We've already dipped below it by a couple of pips, but we haven't officially gotten an open and close below that and so on. And our next target now should be looked at as November's low. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. That's where our 12660 comes from. So that's kind of my bigger, longer-term target. We're staying nicely in this channel. We're sitting on support. We're at the upper part of the channel, sitting on support with some downward movement. I just don't see how this thing's not going to make a big break and continue lower. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking just to kind of trade against this high still. I'm probably honestly not going to do anything on the euro too terribly soon with Cyprus news in the works and with FOMC news. I think we're probably going to be left waiting until that comes out tomorrow. But just know that I am looking to get to trade short below this 128.80. So that's kind of where we are, in that side of things. Pound dollar, on the other hand, we do have some interesting entries on the pound dollar. Remember, we have a missed weekly pivot right here. This is some very good support just below our existing support. So current support right now is around 150. We'll call it 150.70 is our current support. And then we have the missed weekly pivot, which is around just around 150.50, and then a missed daily pivot from Friday, which is around 150.40, and then we have a missed daily pivot from middle of last week, which is around 148.80. So we have some kind of big targets. I'm watching this trend line right here, and the pound dollar seems to be holding in this channel very well. From this high to low here, we have just barely reached the 23% fib, and have kind of started to consolidate from there. You can see some reversal candles and some negative candles from that point, and it seems like we're just kind of holding in this channel, and it looks like it's positioning itself very nicely to break this ascending trend line and head back down into that target zone of the missed pivot and even into the lows. So that would be kind of my first big downward target, is that missed pivot right around 148.85 area. But we've got a lot of support to get through before we get to that point, and all this support is going to be right here. So ultimately, I'm going to be looking to get short below. This may vary coming up here just a little bit, but but I'm looking to get short either below 150.50. So I want to make sure I can get through the weekly pivot point. So below 150.50, I'll be looking to get short, or a little bit closer to this high, more up in the, you can see that our high is around 151.75, and I wouldn't mind to get short maybe around 151.50, 60 area with stops just above this high right here, because remember, we do have a bigger high that we might be reaching, which is 152.20. But right now I'm kind of looking, you can see that we made this high and then a lower high, and it looks like we're just setting up for a nice little turn here to start heading down. So I'd like to trade against this high and get in as close to that as possible, knowing that if that breaks, we're probably headed into 152.20, or get short below 150.50 on the pound dollar. Aussie dollar's been interesting as well. I kind of drew a short-term trend line in here, but really what I'm looking for and looking at is more this level right here, which is 103.35. I still think that's a good area to buy off, and I think that the Aussie dollar is still fairly bullish. And so until we can get below this area, which again is a weekly pivot, 200-day moving average, nice support, all of that good stuff, 103.35 area, until we can really make good clearance of that, then I still like buying on the dip, and I would like to buy in this zone right here, 103.35, and trade it up into the 10400 area and potentially beyond. But again, if we get out of this, if we get below this area and we break below 103.35, then I think we start to see some much bigger, better downtrend potentials back into these lows, back towards 10200 and towards parity. So that's what I'm looking for there. Lots of wild movement on the yen pair. Still not super interested in trading those as of just yet, but I will address those as they set up better. So that's kind of where we are. That's what we're looking at. Again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but all my focus is on euro dollar, pound dollar, Aussie dollar for this kind of short term here. So that's where we are. That's where we'll take things. Best of luck, and I'll have Twitter updates coming out. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at DayTradersFX. Thanks, everybody.